So today it is the Authentisign Tips and Tricks webinar. And for today's agenda, this is what we're going to be reviewing. We'll look at creating a signing from a transaction in Transaction Desk. Then we'll walk through the steps to using the Authentisign signing wizard. After that, we'll look at the client view of the signature process. So to give you an idea to relate to your clients what it is that they will be seeing when they receive an Authentisign invitation. Then we will show you where you can go in and check the status of your Authentisign and review what resend a signing or reset a signing means and some instances in which you might do that. Next, we'll look at the signed documents, where those will be housed and where you can review them. Then we will look at how you can add signatures and markups to documents in Authentisign once you get over into the Authentisign wizard. All right, and with that, we are going to switch over now and go into Transaction Desk. So hang on just a moment. And all right. Now we are in Transaction Desk, and if you're not that familiar with Transaction Desk, we highly recommend that you do take the Transaction Desk classes. We have TD1 and TD2, and we also offer webinars too on those occasionally, and we do have some recordings of them online. Okay. But here you'll see the agent dashboard that is set up for Transaction Desk, and it's not going to look like yours because this is customized. But I'm going to go into a listing that I have set up for today's session on Authentisign. And what we're going to do first is look at how we can start assigning from within a transaction. So this is a listing transaction that has been set up, and we need to get the forms sent to our sellers. So there are many ways that you can set up an Authentisign signing from Transaction Desk. This is a personal preference for me. This is what I find to be most helpful. So I'm in the forms section. The forms have already been filled out, and I'm going to get all of the, or most of these, to the sellers. So I'm just going to go through and select the forms that I need the sellers to sign, okay? And as each one of these is clicked, you see that this basket up here at the top has a 7 in it. So I'm going to send these 7 forms to the sellers to get signed. And as this first one, as you hover over it, it says sign in Authentisign. So every form that I've got listed here, when I click this pen, it's going to send it to Authentisign. Okay, and you see that you get the little, the green half circle flashing, and it's saying, okay, wait. All right, now you can see that we are in Authentisign. Okay, this is the Authentisign wizard. When you're in our Authentisign, the first thing that you need to do is give it a name. Okay, this one, typically what it will do, it will just give the names of one of the forms, but you saw that we added many forms to this, so I'm just going to list it as Authentisign webinar listing. The next thing that you need to do is select how your clients are going to sign it. Are they going to do a sign-in line, or are they going to do a simul sign? Now, most everyone does the simul sign, meaning Whoever gets the email first can sign it. It doesn't matter in which order the signees sign the document. This is a conversation you'll have with your clients beforehand. There could be some instances in which one of the parties says, I absolutely have to be the one to sign it first. If that is the case, then you would select sign in line, so your participants would sign in that order. Okay. Next would come the advanced options, which we'll look at in just a little bit when we resend to signing. It will be opened right now, but because what you see here, why this is going to be important, is this Authentisign ID position. Those of you who have used Authentisign before, you know that when documents go through the signing process, there is a small blue line of text that is printed on the document, and that is this Authentisign ID. When you first start assigning, the ID position is in top left, and that's where it's going to be left at today for this signing. But note that when you start sending documents, if you've got a document that's going to go through several signings, you can change the position of that Authentisign ID to where you can move it then over to the top right, the bottom left, or the bottom right. But again, this is going to be the first time these documents are going through a signing, so we're going to leave it on the top left. Next, we look at our participants. And when you bring this up, what comes up is you're going to be given a list of participants that Authentisign has pulled from Transaction Desk that it thinks would need to be signing these documents. And so today we're just going to have our seller sign it. And we're going to have Kevin Bacon and Kira Sedgwick, and they're going to be remote signers, meaning that the system is going to send them an email, and they will be able to open that email and sign the documents electronically, and then get it back to you, all done electronically, so you never have to get to them face-to-face, which is something that we need to do right now as we're practicing our social distancing. So we are going to add these two. If you did need to add, you can always come back in and add them later, okay, by clicking the Add Participants. Now you'll see here that Kevin has a red exclamation mark next to his name. So that is authentic. When this happens, this is Authentisign telling you, hey, there's something wrong with this contact, this participant's information. I'm not going to be able to send the signing to this person. And so you click on that red exclamation point, and then you have this window that comes up, and Authentisign says this participant is missing required information. You click OK, and then up comes this window, and they said, hey, I need at least these three pieces of information. I need to know the type of signer, which we already selected as remote. I need the name, which we had already selected, but we didn't have an email there. So we're going to go ahead and give this, put this email here. Okay, and then you can click Save. Now, you can say Update Contact Info. And it's our understanding that when you do this, it's supposed to go back and update that contact's information in Transaction Desk, but that's not happening. We'll show you how to do that in just a moment, but you go ahead and click Save Participant. Just know that when you correct an email here or add an email here, it's only doing it for this one signing. Correcting it here does not go back and correct the contact information in Transaction Desk. And it does not update the contact information for future signings. But again, we'll see how to go back and do that. So we'll click Save Participant. And we see that the red exclamation point has gone away. So now we're good to go. The next step is we can look at the document. So we click the plus sign and we see all of our documents here. And a recent update to Authentisign is that now we have the ability to drag and drop the documents into a particular order that we like. So for instance, say we wanted all of this to be in numerical order. When you hover over to the left of the number here, you just click and you can just drag the document up to the position that you want. Now, those of you who have used Authentisign previously, you know that what it looked like before was you had these little bitty greater than, less than arrows, which could take forever to move a document into place, especially if you had several documents in a row. And so you wanted to just move these around however you wanted, okay? And you're saying, well, you know, these are all the forms that we pulled from the forms, but we need to add that legal description because our sellers have to initial it. Yes, they do. And when you do that, because we pulled all of these forms from the forms section, but we know that we need to add the legal. So to do that, we would just click on Add Documents. And then what happens is Authentisign comes up and says, okay, I see that you're wanting to add something. Where is it coming from? Is it coming from some documents that you have in this transaction, this listing transaction? Are you needing to add another form? Is there a document in your doc box that you're wanting to pull from? This is, do you have anything in one of these cloud storage platforms that you want to pull from? Is there the upload a file? Is that a file on your computer? Is it by fax? Is it by email? So Authentigsign's giving you all of these options. Okay, where's this document coming from? Well, we already have the legal description within the transaction, so we're going to be pulling it from that transaction. So clicking on this, clicking on that transaction gives me a list of all the forms and documents that I have. So when I go down here, it's like I need this legal description, actually this one, and I click Add, and now we can see that it's added to the bottom. Okay, I'll just move that up. And something else to note too, in Authentisign, you'll see that these forms here have let's blow this up just a little bit more. See how the forms have these yellow boxes here? This is because Authentisign knows that these are forms that pulled over, and it knows the majority of the time where to place the signature and the initial boxes. Let's get back there. But you'll see here on the legal description and on this form P1, it doesn't know because it's not a form. It's not a document that is editable like these other forms are. So for these, we're going to have to place initial boxes on. Okay. Barb, do we have any questions so far that we need to answer?
No questions so far.
All right.
If you have a question, guys, just type it in the question box.
All right. And then moving on, we're going to go to the last part, which is step 4 design. And you get the message that it's preparing a page, a 25-page document, and that just happens to be how many we have on here. Now, please note that Barb and I are not brokers, we're trainers. So if we're placing, if I'm placing a signature box or an initial box on a place where it doesn't normally go, is to show you the functionality. It's not meant to be that true to life. So disclaimer there. All right, so what we're in here now, we're on page 1 of our listing input sheet, okay? And if you continue to scroll through, you would see, here are the initial boxes for Kevin and Kira. You can see that they've already been placed there along with the date stamp, and you could just keep going through and see where all of those are at, okay? And just keep going through, all right? And again, for the most part, Authentisign is going to know exactly where to place these, but on some of these, it's not going to know on these forms exactly where to place it. And I've seen that on some rental agreements. So you'll need to go through and check, okay, exactly, you know, where am I going to have to put, are there going to be some forms that come through that I'm going to have to put a signature and or initial boxes on? When you start getting into a lot of pages like this, and you don't want to have to scroll through everything, right? Well, you have this option over here where it says page is showing me that I'm on page 2 of 25. When you click on that, you get this drop-down menu, and you have a list here of all of your forms and the page for each form. So for instance, if I wanted to go to this legal description, I could just click on that, and here's my legal description, okay? And I'm looking at that, and it's like, oh my gosh, I pulled the wrong legal description. So if you get here and you're like, oh my gosh, that's the wrong document, I need to get this out, and I need to go back and correct it. Well, you can click the back button, and you can just say continue without saving, okay? And you go down here, and it's like, no, this is not the legal description that I needed. You just click on the X, okay? And Authentisign comes up and says, are you sure? And yep, I'm sure that's not the one I want. So you could just go back to your add documents, okay? And we'll come down here, we'll get this one, okay? Select a box, okay? And then click add, okay? And then again, we can move it up. Okay, and then we click step 4 design. So if you get to that step 4 design process and you're saying, uh-oh, you know, I forgot to add a document or I got the wrong document, you just click the back button and click continue without saving, go back to that initial wizard you were in, and then get rid of the documents you don't need or add documents that you do need, okay? So again, we're back here at this page 1 of 25, click the down menu, and we'll go to that legal description, and there we go, okay? So we need to have our seller's initial boxes on here. Now to do that, a couple of things. First, you need to be looking up here in the top right corner when you have multiple signers, okay? Because then you use that drop-down menu to switch back and forth. So we're going to start with Kevin. And on the legal description, we need the initial box. So when you click on drag and drop, you have options of what you can drag and drop over onto the page. So for this purpose, we're going to this single initial here box, we take it, and since we're on Kevin's name, you see the initial box is KB, when we'll just drop it on the page. Well, we need a date stamp. So you can right click and do add date stamp. Well, now we need to add Kira's name. We can go up here to the drop down, select Kira, and then do the drag and drop again. Okay, awesome. We can right click and add the date stamp, or we can click on that little gear, this little gear here, and add date stamp. Okay. Now, say you are needing to add multiple initials on a document. Well, you can do that as well. And just for demonstration purposes, we're going to do that on this Law of Real Estate Agency pamphlet, okay? because we know when we're looking at this, that this is 7 pages, okay? So this could be anything that you've got that does not have the initial boxes or the signature boxes on there. You know, typically in the process that we just saw, you would have to drag and drop those initial boxes 14 different times, 7 times for Kevin and 7 times for Kira onto each page. Authentisign gives you the option to drop multiple initial boxes at one time when an instance like this arises. And the way you do that is you click on drag and drop, and down here you have this initial pages, and as you hover over it, it says drag and drop multiple initial boxes. So you would take that and just bring it, or just click it. Hang on, there we go. And then what you get is this little window, and it says, where do you want this? And so we'll put it at the bottom of the document. Well, where do you want it? Do you want it on the bottom? So we're clicked on bottom. Do you want it on the bottom left, the bottom center, or the bottom right? Well, let's just do it on the left. And then we click sellers. And when we click sellers, it's going to give us Kevin and Kira's initial boxes. And then it says, okay, which of these forms or documents in this signing are we looking at? Well, you can go down here and you can click, I want to do this form 1, okay? And then when you click that, it says, okay, I know that there's 7 pages in there. Do you want to do all 7 pages, or do you want to do a page range? And if you did page range, you could click 2 through 6, 3 through 6, or whatever page range you needed of this particular document. For now, we're just going to do all 7. And then when you click continue, okay, you scroll down and there are those initial boxes. So you do still have to go through and right click and add the date stamp, but it's going to be a lot easier now because you've already got your initial boxes on there. So it just makes it super easy in that respect, rather than having to drag and drop those initial boxes, like what do we say, 14 times, right? 7 times for Kevin and 7 times for Kira. So you just, so we won't do all of these. But this, again, this is to show you the functionality of this item, okay? Well, we're almost to the end, so we'll go ahead and do all of them. All right. And again, you can right click or you can click on the little gear and add the date stamp, okay? Now we're ready to go and get this sent off to them. So then we would click next. And you come to the send invitations. Now, if your signers each have their own email address, you could just click send invitations, okay? And it's going to go to each of their email addresses. Or you can customize the invitation emails. And this is really good if your clients use the same email address as we're doing in this, because then what happens is you can break it out for them and let them know whose email belongs to who. Because if you don't, then Authentisign is just going to come up with the name that we gave it. So it was the Authentisign listing, and they're not going to know whose got to open which email. So for this one, you can see that Authentisign broke it out, and so we can say signing for Kevin. And you can add a personal message if you want. And this one we can say signing for Kira. We click save. and then we click send invitations. And you get the notice that the Authentisign invitations were successfully sent, and we click OK. And then what happens is then you are taken back into Transaction Desk to your signings page. Now, this gear here, when you're working on a signing, the gear means that you're still working on it. If we refresh this page, though, because we're no longer working on it, we've sent it. And so now we have this lightning bolt. And the lightning bolt is an indication that the signing has been sent and that we're in the middle of it, okay? When you click on this, you get information about the signing. And the things to look out for here are these authenticated indicators and these signed indicators. When Kevin and Kira open up the signings, these authenticated indicators are going to turn into checkered flags. When they complete the signing, these are going to turn into checkered flags, and we'll see what that looks like. All right. All right. So we're going to go back to that signing. Okay, this is the one that we're at right now. Okay. And I'm just going to have it ready on the standby to look at it. So let's go over to the inbox and see if those signings have arrived yet. And they have. All right. So you can see they're broken out, signing for Kevin. So Kevin just got changed to Kevin. If your clients can open an email and click a blue pen, they can do a signing. So that we're opening Kevin's email and we're clicking in the signing, okay? And it says preparing the 25-page document with the signing blocks, okay? So Kevin has opened up the signing, right? And when he does this, gets here, Authentisign says, okay, you can either draw your signature or you can select a font style. Not many people would want to click draw signature and then have to use their mouse to write their signature. Some people might, but for most everyone, choosing this select font style is going to be a lot easier. So when your client clicks on that, they can choose from these different font styles. So perhaps Kevin likes this one and then click save. Now they do have to accept this because what they're accepting is that they're agreeing to this electronic, to use this system, electronic use of this system, and so they click accept. Okay. Now, if we were to go back over here to our Authentisign and click into our signing, there is that checkered flag letting us know that Kevin has opened up his signing, but he hasn't completed it yet. Okay. So while Kevin is over here, he clicks start, and a couple of things to note up here, as Kevin clicks through, the progress will start updating, and it's letting him know that there are 26 fields that are going to require him to sign. Now, some clients may think, oh, all I got to do is click next and go through the document. No, that's just going to take you to the next page. They need to look for this red arrow over here that's pointing them to where they need to click. And when they click, come on. Okay, hang on just a second. Next. All right, for some reason, this is freezing on. Okay, let's get out of here and let's go back in and see if we can figure out what's going on with that. All right. We'll click accept, start. There we go. Okay, you can see as soon as your client clicks, it just goes on to the next one. Okay, super, super quick. And then when he gets done, your client completes the signing. Now they're going to ask you about this create a password. Our recommendation is that you do not create the password because Northwest MLS does not have access to that. That is something Authentisign would keep track of. And they would have to call the folks at Lone Wolf, which is the company that makes Authentisign. And so we just say, no thanks. If your client is insistent on creating a password, they're going to have to keep track of it. Okay. So that's Kevin signing. And if we go back in here into the listing, we can see that Kevin has completed it. And so now we're just waiting on Kira. What happens though if you have a client that comes in and says, oh, I accidentally deleted my email? Perhaps Kira called you and said, oh man, I deleted my email and I don't have access to it. What can I do? Well, up here, you have this resend option. So if you have a client that calls and says, you know what, I gave you the wrong email address, I need to give you this email address, or if they say, oh, I deleted my email that you sent me with the signing, use this resend option. Okay, and you can see here we could still edit Kira's email address to where, say, if your client called and said, I need to give you this email address, you could go in here and click edit, put the new email address in, and then click resend. Okay. Now, if your client gets to the documents and they're saying, oh, I see I need something to change. I want to change the list price. Then this is when you would use the reset option. That's going to set everything back to the beginning. Okay. And then what you would have to do, it would take you back into your wizard, and you say if they wanted to change the price of the listing, you would go back into the Authentisign, remove the listing agreement from the Authentisign. You would have to go back into Transaction Desk, change the document and change the listing agreement in Transaction Desk, then go back to your signing and add the updated listing agreement. Okay, and we go into that a little bit more in Transaction Desk, but that's what that means when you want to reset. Okay, now we're going to go in and click and have Kira sign it real quick so we can get our completed documents. Again, she would open it up. It would tell her that it was preparing the document. And then it's loading. And then she could select her font style, click save, accept, and then start. And then she would, she can see, since Kevin already signed it, she can see where he has signed it, and she would just start clicking the boxes as well. Okay. And again, if you were wondering where she was at in the signing process, you could open up that the signing on your end in Transaction Desk and check to see if she had opened the signing and if she had completed it by looking for the checkered flag icons. And also, you will receive an email when the signing is complete. All right. So now we're going to go back in here, and we're in Authentisign, and we're looking at and we can see that the signing is complete. and we have the checkered flags. Okay. And you may be, okay, so where did the documents go? Well, you have to go back into the transaction for that. And here's our transaction. So we'll click on that. And anything that is not editable, like signed documents or legal descriptions, they're going to be in the document section of your transaction. And so what happens is when the signing is complete, the signed documents come back to the transaction and they have this green lock beside them. And if you hover over the green lock, it says certified and digitally signed. Okay. And you also get this certificate, and we'll just look at that real quick. And the certificate is a record of that signing. And this certificate ID here is that blue line of writing that you see on those Authentisign documents. Okay, so if you've got a document that's going through multiple signings, the line of blue text is this certificate ID here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and close that. All right. And you can go through, you can just open up any one of these documents and you can see then that you have your signatures. All right. Okay. Now, say that you have received a purchase and sale agreement for Kira and Kevin on their property. It sold really fast, right? And so we've already got one here in the in our document section. We're going to open that up, and we say that you look at it and they have offered, so Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson have offered Kevin and Kira $668,000. Well, Kevin and Kira had originally asked $675,000 for their property, and they think $668,000 is a little too low, and they want to counter with $670,000. All right. So we know then that we're going to have to counter with the Form 36, right? And so we're going to do that, and we'll send this along to with that original price marked through. So to do that and to show you how you can mark up a document, because most of the time people are going to take this document and they are going to mark it up here in Transaction Desk. But if you get ready to start assigning and you see something on a document that needs to be changed, you also have the ability to do that in Authentisign. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, so we're going to go to Forms, and we already have a counter offer addendum in here, and we're going to look at that, and let's see what we have here. And so Kira and Kevin are saying, no, we want this to be $670,000, not the 668. Okay, and we'll just click an expiration date of 5/16/2020 or whatever. Okay, we'll do File, Save. And notice that while we're here inside the document, we have the ability to start assigning from within a form. If we click on that now, you're going to there's a window that's going to come up and says, hey, do you want to create a signing? And we're like, yes, we want to go ahead and create this now. Okay. And so Authentisign says, okay, here's this Form 36, and we'll just name it counteroffer. Okay. We will do the simul sign again, and This is where the advanced options come in on this, because we're also going to add the original PSA with it. And so we know that original PSA has already gone through a signing and that the Authentisign position is going to be on the top left. So because of that, we're going to change the Authentisign position to the top right. Okay, so they don't overwrite one another. Even though this is the first time that the Form 36 is going through. Okay, we have to think about all of the documents that we're sending at one time. The participants, we'll click on that. We'll do Kevin and Kira again. Okay. And the documents, up, see, and we didn't go back and correct Kevin's information. So we have to do it again here because we did not go back into the transaction and correct it. Click Save. Go to Step 3 Documents. So now we have this Form 36, and even though it's an editable form, notice that it doesn't have those yellow blocks on it because Authentisign's really not sure where to put these on this particular form, but we're wanting to add, remember, we're wanting to add that other PSA, the original PSA. So we will go into the Authentisign webinar, right? And let's see, where was that? This one. We're going to add this, click Add. Okay. We're going to go to Step Form Design. All right. So here, even though, again, even though it is a form, Authentisign didn't know where to put things, right? And up, look, here is the, we didn't put the date here. Well, let's go down and look at the date. So this was dated May 13th. So we've got some markups that we need to do with the document because we didn't do it when we were in Transaction Desk. Well, you have the markup option over here on Authentisign. When you click Markup, you have these tools available to you. So the first thing that we want to do, let's use this. We can draw the, click on text box and see when you click on it, how around the box is highlighted. We just click here and we can play, you just start typing. So May 13th, 2020. And you can move the box by just kind of hovering over it, okay? And just sizing it how you want to. Clicking on this little gear, the gear icon, you see that you can select the font, you can select the font size, and you can select the font color. You can decide if you want it to be bold or italic. So if you just clicked bold, see how it makes it a lot darker? And then you click OK. Well, now we've got to have Kevin and Kira's signatures, right? So we're going to drop Kevin's right here and then do a date stamp. And then we're going to go up here to the menu, select Kira, sign here, okay, add date stamp, all right. And here, you know, what we see on the original purchase and sale agreements is that the purchase price will be marked through and the counter offer price will be placed on there. So again, if you did not do this in Transaction Desk, you can use your markup tools here in Authentisign. And this time you have this draw line. If you select it and then start at the beginning of the text you want to mark through, you can just drag and click and drag through the text. Use your gear icon, your settings, and perhaps you want it to be a little bit smaller, and perhaps instead of being red, maybe you want to make it black. You can do that, okay? And you see how it did a nice line through it, and you can need to click it again. Every time you use it, you're going to have to click it again. And then it's again, it turned out red. You can use this gear icon to change the size and to change the color. Okay. And use your text box to add the new price. So you could just say 670. Okay. And again, move it up to however you want. Okay. And then click text box again to add 170,000. And you can see how it just started, the text started wrapping, so you can just extend the length of the box if you want to, right? You just move it around, okay? And to get it like you want. And you say, well, that's still a little bit big. Well, use your gear box here to change the font size. So maybe if you take it down to 14 and see what that looks like, right? Just may have to play with it a little bit, but you'll get there. Okay, and then you can click save. Just click out, okay? And then you would be good to go. This is all we're going to do on this because, again, this is to show you the functionality on this, okay? You click next. And we'll just do the send invitations this time so you can see what that looks like if you just opt not to do the personalization. Okay, so we'll go back over here. Okay. All right. This, this is to show you too, when the signing is complete, your participants will get an email with a copy of all of their documents. Okay. All right. So here is the new signing that came through. Again, this can be very generic. This is Authentisign invitation to review and sign documents. You'll notice too, and this is, I don't believe that this is just for Gmail, but you see how it looks like there's just one email, but there's a 2 there. So because the email sent to both of our participants had the same subject heading and they're coming from the same address, Gmail just puts both of them in that one line. So you would have to click it and you can see there's Kevin's. And then down here at the bottom, you have to click those dots to expand Kira's. Okay. And again, they would just go through this. And just like before, they would need to select their font style. Okay, this is something they'll have to do each time because Authentisign is not going to know that they are going to want to use the same font again. And then they would just click start, okay, and then click complete. No thanks on the password. And then Kira would need to sign hers. And it's thinking, she'll just select that one. We'll do this one, save, accept, start, and she'll just click and complete. And no thanks on the password. Okay. Now, there are a couple of resources that you can send to your clients before assigning, and that is on the Northwest MLS homepage. So let's look at that real quick. So we'll go home here. Okay. Under the support tab, so here we are on the Northwest MLS homepage, and you have your tabs across the top. Go to the support tab, okay? And when you go to the support tab, you're going to land on the information for Transaction Desk. And when you do that, you see that there are user guides, tutorials and webinars, FAQs, and information. Well, under the user guides, you'll see this client resources, and you'll also see Authentisign has its own breakout section as well. So when you click on client resources, what we have provided for you that you can send to your clients is 2 documents, one on how to sign electronically, and one of them is filling out the Form 17. So when you click on this, signing electronically, what it is a 3-page user guide with these color-coded instructions that help walk your clients through the Authentisign process. You can use this download function over here to download it to your computer and then email it to your clients before assigning, to provide them that useful information or helpful information that they can use when they are doing the signing. Okay. So again, this is on the Northwest MLS homepage, the support tab. You land on Transaction Desk and then click Client Resources. Looking at the Authentisign support, when you click on that, we have all of these user guides. And again, these are color-coded as well, and walk you through the steps on how there's an overview, how to manually add those signature blocks, how to track a signing, and just anything that you would use on a day-to-day basis with your signings. Okay, so with that said, Barb, did we have any questions come up that we need to answer?
No questions so far, no. Some of the people thought that our webinar started at 10 o'clock, and now they're all coming into the system. So we actually started at 9.
Oh.
So I believe they got an email saying that we were starting at 10 o'clock. So I apologize for that, everybody.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Well, we can reschedule, Rochelle. Let's talk to our coordinator and let's have her reschedule again for us to do this again soon, very soon, so people can
yes, absolutely.
be on.
Absolutely. Okay. Well,
I don't think we have any other questions, but if anybody wants to stay on after everybody leaves and has a question, we'd be happy to answer that for you.
You know what? We can stop this recording and we can start another one. Or
yeah, we did record it, so I know they're going to put it up on the website as well, so it will be there. What do you think? What do you want to do?
that's fine.
Yeah, we might as well. We don't have any. I don't have anything planned, so.
All right. Well, with that, yeah, we will definitely. Oh, and we've got more people coming up.
Yeah, we got a lot of people coming on right now, so it might be a good idea to go ahead and run it.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stop the broadcast for now. So thank you for everyone who did join. We really appreciate it. And so have a great day. Wait a second.
Hi, everyone. We haven't started yet, so hang in there. We'll start shortly. Hey, everybody who's joining us, give us a couple minutes. We'll get started here shortly. Hello, everyone. Please hang in there. We'll start in just a couple minutes. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here today. We are going to be starting now, and we have quite a few people that are on this webinar today. So we have a question box where you can type in questions. If you could help us out and type them in the box whenever you can. We'll try to get to them. If we can't, I'm going to leave a little bit of time at the end of the webinar if you have something that I haven't shown you or a question that you want us to clarify in more detail. We're going to stay on for a few extra minutes to do that. So let's get started. I'm going to just show the audio issue screen for just a minute here. I think everybody, I'm looking and I can see pretty much everybody's connected. I don't think we have too many audio issues today, which is good. So that's nice. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started then. Today, myself and Rochelle are on the line, and Rochelle's going to be helping us answer questions today. So my name is Barb, and I'll be your trainer. I'm one of the NWMLS training specialist, and so is Rochelle. So we're happy to be with you today. We apologize for the technical difficulties and getting started a little late, but here we go. So the agenda, what we're going to cover today is we're going to create a signing from a transaction. So we're going to take some time to show you how that works and the steps to using the the Authentisign wizard. So we'll step through the whole wizard and how to actually design your Authentisign and using some special techniques. We'll show you what it looks like from the client side as well. So I will email the signing off, and I'll go ahead and open up my own personal email and show you all what it looks like from their side. And then also, how do you check the Authentisign status? So we actually have people that call our help center often and ask, you know, how do I look and see all my Authentisigns and how you can tell where they're at? Have they been signed? Have they not been signed? So I'm going to show you that. And then how you can actually review those signed documents. Once they're signed, where do they go? What do you do with them? How can you email them off to someone once they're signed? So we'll go through that process. And then how to actually add signatures to a document, that a PDF that maybe someone sent over to you. Maybe it's like a counteroffer or something like that you need to send back. And I'm going to show you how to mark up those documents and add signatures. So if you have a document that comes through with no signature blocks, there's a way to add those. We're going to go over that today. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into Transaction Desk here.
Barb, it's Rochelle. I'm back.
Hello, Rochelle.
Hello. Audio is working now. Oh my gosh.
Good. Well, I let them know that if there's any questions that you might answer them for them. So
absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name's Rochelle. I'm a trainer here with the MLS helping Barb. Sorry for the delay.
Gosh. We had a few technical difficulties this morning. We're all good now, though, I think. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to on this back menu right over here, this is what I'm going to spend time in. I'm going to spend time in the Transaction Desk file folder, which is like a back file cabinet, and the Authentisign file cabinet. So this is where I'm going to go to find my transactions. And I'm going to open this up because Rochelle actually shared some with me here. So if I look at all my transactions, I should be able to find them. So here we have one transaction folder that's been created, and we just listed it this way so we knew what it was. So I'm going to go ahead and go in there and show you all how to send something over for signature. So once you're into a transaction folder, over here on the right-hand side, your menu, you're going to find everything you need for this transaction. So we actually created this ahead of time, and right here in the forms section right here, I'm going to click on that, and I've got my forms. They're all filled out. They're ready to go. We're going to send them off to somebody for signature. So I'm going to actually just add some forms in here. I'm not going to add all of these today because it'll just take that much longer to go through the whole Authentisign process with all of you. So it's really just showing you the functionality. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to send off this sale and listing agreement to sign. I'll do the FRIPTA certification, and we'll do this addendum, and let's see, we'll put in this pamphlet. So here I'm going to send four forms over for them for signature. So what's nice about doing it in here is what I did was selected them here, and I'm put them up here in this basket. What's nice about this is you can send all the forms over at one time to Authentisign rather than going and pulling one at a time. So here's my basket, and I'm going to click on that basket. And inside of here is where you can do a number of things. But what we're going to do is we're going to sign these forms in Authentisign. So I'm going to go ahead and click that pen icon up there. And that brings me into the wizard. So it just takes you through 4 basic steps to set up your signing. Today we're going to use Simulsign, which means we have 2 people that we're sending this to. And it's going to be first come, first serve. So whoever whoever gets their email first just can sign anytime they want. If you do sign in line, of course, they have to wait in line. The first person will get an email, they will sign, then the second person will get an email. So rarely will you use this. If you need to, it's there. So I'm gonna go ahead and collapse this, and we're gonna go on to the participants. Now, I'm gonna actually change their, I'm gonna add Kevin Bacon as a signer, and Kira Sedgwick, can't pronounce her name, and we're going to have them as remote signers. So I'm going to leave that. I'm just going to click the add button, and I'm going to quickly just jump in here and change their email over. I'm going to change this email over to mine, and also notice that Kevin does not have an email. That's why we're getting this red message here. So if I click on Kevin, what it's telling me is, hey, you cannot move on until you add something to his signature. So, and what it is the email. So I'm going to just use my email address so it'll come to me. And I'm going to click save. Now, by doing that, it is not going to update his contact card. You're going to have to go put that email address in again, or it's always going to pop up with that red message for you. Hang on just a second. I want to open up my email real quick. Sorry about that, guys, to have it open ahead of time, because I want to make sure this is a training email that I use. And I want to make sure I'm using the right email address. So just give me a second here to get it open. I'm going to switch. Hang on, sorry about that. I'm in the wrong one. All right. No, I had it wrong. Sorry about that. Oh my gosh. Let me change this. Been a while since I used this. I want to make sure you guys can see it on the other end. So there we go. And I'm just going to jump into this one as well and change the email address real quick. Okay, I think I got those set up correctly now. All right, so the next step is our documents. So what's coming over now are the forms that we added in that basket and brought over. And we know that there's more to this because we've got some documents in our document folder as well, which is our legal description. So we need to add that in here as well. So if I click on add documents right up here, it's going to bring up an option for me, and it's saying, where do you want to find this document? I have it saved in the folder, in the actual transaction folder, but you can also select it from forms, select it from different locations. You got Google Drive, Dropbox, OneDrive, anywhere where you have that document saved, you pretty much can find it here. You can upload a file from your actual computer desktop maybe. So there's different ways to do that. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click on this one because I've got it stored in my document folder. So I'm going to go find it here. And the one we're going to use is this legal description right here. So I'm going to add that. Now notice that the forms that we have added have these little yellow and red icons on them, and that means that it knows that these forms have the proper signature blocks on them because they're fillable forms. But anything that is not a fillable form, it's not going to have those signature blocks. So for instance, this is just a pamphlet, and I'm going to actually just drag and drop that to the bottom here. So you can drag and drop these in the order that you want them for the signing. And then I've got the legal description here, and you can see that it does not have the signing block. So we've got to get the little initial blocks on there for us. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're ready. We've got nothing else to add. So I'm going to click on this right here, number 4, design stage. So here we are in the actual DocuSign design stage, and you can see these first 4 forms that we had already have their initial blocks where they need to be. Signature blocks are there, signatures again, initials. So that's all good. The thing we're missing here are the initials for this legal description. Now it is already initialed by someone else, but we were going to add these 2 people's initials in here. So to do that, we're going to use this drag and drop menu right over here on this right-hand side, the drag and drop menu. And what we're going to use is we're going to use this initial here. I don't think you're ever going to use optional signature and optional initial. We don't have, you have the option of initialing this or not. It's usually initial here or sign here, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click initial here and drag it over. And you can see Kevin's name is on here. And that's because I have Kevin highlighted up here, right up here in the right-hand corner. I've got Kevin as the signer first. So we've got him. And I can click on this little gear icon right here, and it will open up a menu, and I can click add date stamp, or I can just right-click on this and add date stamp, either one. So now to get the other initial up here where we want it, we're going to switch the name up here. We're going to switch it from Kevin to Kira. So we've got her name up now. So if I initial here, drag and drop again, you'll see that Kira's name is now here, and I can right click and date stamp. So that's a quick and easy way to get your initials and your signature blocks onto a document. You can do the same thing with a sign. So I'll just show you, like if you wanted to put a signature somewhere, you just drag it, right click, date stamp. So it's simple. You can make them smaller if you need to. That's what these little green options are for, to shrink them down if you want to, make them smaller. If I can move it, that would be great. But anyway, so we're going to delete it. I'm going to go ahead and just click on it and delete it. So we've got our initials here. There's this law of agency pamphlet, and it's not showing any initials. But let's just say that we had this document in here that came through. It could be any document that is a PDF, and you needed to have initials on every single page of this particular document. And it would be a little time consuming to drag and drop initials on every single page. So one of the things that you can do is you can actually have it drop initials on every single page for you. So to do that, you click on this initial pages right here. It's an option here that adds it on every single page. And what it's going to ask you is, now where do you want to put this initial? Do you want it at the bottom of the document, top of the document? So we're going to put it at the bottom. Do you want it aligned left, aligned center, or aligned right? I'm going to say align it on the left-hand side of the document. And it's asking who the signers are. So if I click on this, it's going to bring them both up for me. So it's going to put blocks for both of them. And it's asking which form. Do you want it on every single form? We don't. We just want to add it to this form here on the bottom, and we want it on all 7 pages. So we could say, oh no, we don't want it on page 1. We only want it pages 1 through 6. You could do that here. But we're going to say all 7 pages of this pamphlet form. And you can make it a large initial, a medium initial, or a small initial. So we'll just leave it a medium. And I'm going to just hit continue and show you how this works. So here we are on the first page of that pamphlet, and it dropped their initials on every single page. Now you still need to add that date stamp, but what's nice about this is you can actually do it fairly quickly. So I can just right click and date stamp, right click and date stamp on each one of these, excuse me, and do that all the way down. So I can just move them over. So, I mean, there's a little bit of work you have to do, but it's much quicker than dragging and dropping every single one, right? Gonna move that over just a tad. Oh my gosh. There we go. Oops. Of course, we had to have a bunch of pages, right? Okay, last page. There we go. All right, so we got them all ready to go. So we are ready to send this off. So I'm gonna go ahead and click next. And we're gonna send it off to them, and then we'll jump over to the email and I'll show you what it looks like when they come through. Now, while we're waiting for that, I wanna just show you, we gotta send it. So we're gonna send the invitation. You can customize your invitation if you want. We're not gonna do that today. You can add extra verbiage on there if you want to. There's no need to if you don't want to, but I'm gonna go ahead and just send the invitation over. And it's sent. So what it's gonna do is it's gonna drop us right back into that, that transaction folder where we started from. So we're right back at that same transaction folder. And we have Authentisign sitting in here that's showing as a, with a gear on it. This means that it's still in the wizard. So if I actually update this page, I'm just gonna refresh it real quick. That will change over to a lightning bolt icon, which shows that it is in process, but not completed yet. So I want to just quickly show you, I'm going to jump over here to the side menu here and go to my actual Authentisign file folder back here. And the reason why I'm showing you this is because this is where you can come in this back office. This is where you can come and see all your Authentisigns, everything that's going on. So I have got actually 4 that are still in the wizard. They're not completed yet. I have some that are actually approved and completed, already completed. And I'm not showing that one. Hang on, let me a second. Let me get it up here. Oh, it's not showing my one for that one, but I'll have to jump back to because it's a shared one, it's not showing up in here, but I wanted to show you what they look like when they're done. So this is what it looks like when it's approved. This is what it looks like when it's still in the wizard. So I'm gonna jump back over here and go into that, back into that transaction. Go back into here. And I can go to signings right over here. This is where we were. This is our transaction folder. Go back into signings and we can see it right here. So if I click on this right now, what you're going to see is inside of that actual signing and who it was sent to, when it was sent. So if for some reason your client said, I didn't get the email or accidentally maybe deleted the email, you can resend it right here. So this is the resend option to resend it. So you can also CC it onto someone. You could actually reset this. So even if one of them signed part of it, maybe they said, oh, wait a minute, this form is incorrect. There's something wrong there, or I want something changed on the form. Even though Kevin may have signed it, he hasn't, but let's say he has, you can still reset this. And what it'll do is put it right back into that wizard mode. You can go back into the wizard and remove that form, fix the form, add it back in and resend it. So it's pretty nifty the way that works. So,
Hey, Barb.
Yep.
You left out the S in Kevin's email. Several participants have pointed that out.
Oh, he's not going to get it he probably is not going to get it on the other end. So I should resend. Good idea. I'll fix it right here. Thank you for pointing that out. I'm going to save this. So this will be good. It'll show you how it works. So I've got that correct now, so I can resend it right here. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we'll jump over to the email and see what it looks like. So yeah, so just one more thing over here before we go look at that. I'll just show you real quick again what a finished one looks like, one that's all done, just so you can see the difference when you're inside of the Authentisign itself. So this one's complete. It's one I did a while back for a training class, just to show you what it looks like. So here's what it looks like when it's done. It's authenticated and it's signed. Authenticated means that they went into the actual signing and they gave it, this is what my signature is going to look like, and I'm authenticating my signature. And then this is when it's actually signed itself. So what comes back when it's all done is you get the original document, the final document with all the signatures. So it shows you everything right in here. This is also stored in your document area, but this is a little backup. So you can always come here in case you can't find it somewhere. It should always be in your document folder, so not a problem, but that's how that works. So I'm going to jump back here to the dashboard, and then I'm going to jump over here into my email and see if they came through. So let's refresh it and see what happened here. The two newer ones should come through here. Let's just go take a look. So here's Kevin's. Click here to sign. And what this is this is that authentication process I was telling you about. So you have an option to draw your signature, which doesn't work so well with a mouse, but if someone's using an iPad and a stylus, they might want to actually sign that way, and they can sign right on the screen and create their signature, or they can change their font style. So here is where Kevin can change it to whatever he wants it to be and click save. It is not it's not authenticated until he actually accepts it. So I'm going to click accept. And now I'm inside the Authentisign. Now, the other day in the help center, I was helping a broker who said that we looked and it showed that his client had actually done this process, that they had actually authenticated it, but hadn't signed it and said, I can't sign it. So what happens oftentimes, you'll have to remind your clients, is they think they can just go down here and start signing. But what they need to do first is always hit this start button first. That's why she couldn't sign it, because she wasn't clicking start. So when you click start, that's when this little red arrow comes up, and then it allows that person to just go through and sign an initial everywhere they need to sign an initial. And notice only Kevin's is up so far because he's the first one to sign. So we're going to go ahead and quickly get through this, and he can stay and review or complete the signing. So I'm going to complete it. And Authentisign does ask Kevin, do you want to set up a password? He can do that if he wants to. No need. He's going to get an email with all the documents attached to it. If he does, though, we do not monitor or help with passwords. So if he forgets his password, he's going to have to contact Authentisign to get that updated for him. So I'm just going to say no thanks. You might just suggest to them that they say no thanks. No need for that. But if they want to, they can. Okay, so now it's saying it's all done. So if I go back here and I go, here's my other two that came through. That's funny. So let's click on this one. This was probably Kira's. Let's just double check and see. No, that's Kevin's again. So see how it resent it? Because that's interesting, because I changed it on that end. It actually fixed the first one. That's really cool. So it fixed that very first email just by changing it in the Authentisign screen. That's pretty nifty. I didn't realize that it did that. We learned something new today. So here's Kira. So we'll go ahead and click on her. And again, we're just going to accept and click start. So now see, you can see Kevin's signed ahead of time, ahead of her. So she sees Kevin's signature on there. So if you do have someone that has to sign first for some reason, that second signer will look and say, okay, I can see they signed it. I'm willing to sign it now. So if that comes up, you can do that sign in line versus sign whenever you want. So I'm going to complete this signing. And again, I'm not going to add a password and say no thanks. So that's complete. Any questions right now, Rochelle?
Yeah, We had a question about once you send an Authentisign for signatures, is there a way to edit or add any missing signature fields? And I believe, well, you did cover how to reset or resend a signing, but that is where you would do it.
Yeah, or you could resend the documents again, the one document that they didn't sign, maybe, I don't know. It would be easier to just reset it and send it again. But what could happen is maybe you missed a signature on just one of those pages, correct? So you could actually, I'm going to go back in here to the transaction itself and show you guys where this is at, see if they've come through. So once it's all signed, we have our signings right here, but it moves all those signed documents into this document folder. So let me go in there and take a peek and see if they've come through. They have. So these are the actual signed documents. So if you had one of these signed documents, I can just show it to you real quick. Oh, let's look at the legal description instead. That's an easier one. It's not 5 pages long. So this is the legal description. And if you actually missed, like say one of them, but the other one isn't there, or maybe on, what would be another one? This form maybe, the FERPTA form, let's say there's a signature missing. You go ahead and send it off to Authentisign again, right here, and just drag a signature block over and have them sign that one. So that's one way you could do it. Another thing that we wanted to show you while I was in here is how do you send these off to someone? So do you want to send them to someone? So to do that, you just click on all, and they'll come through your signed documents come through with lock boxes on them. And it says it's certified digitally. Other documents are going to show, like here's that legal description down here. It's sitting here. That's the original. And there'll be the other one that's actually signed is going to be right up in here. So you can tell which one are the signed ones. So let's just say you wanted to send some of these off to some of your clients, or to maybe to the listing broker or something like that. Maybe this is a property that you sold or something like that. If you want to email any documents off to someone, you just select the ones you want, put them in the basket, and then go and email them off. Very simple. When you email them, you want to make sure you change this as an attachment and just go ahead and email it off to anybody you want. So that's simple and easy to do. You can do the same thing in the forms folder. If you have a form that's filled out, not signed yet or anything, and you want someone to view it, go into forms, do the same thing, select them, put them in the basket, and email them off to someone as an attachment. Even though they're not signed, someone could still view them. So I'm going to empty that basket back out. Okay, I'm just going to check my outline here real quick to show you. Okay, the other thing is, how do you do an Authentisign with something like a purchase and sale? So I'm going to open up this folder here, and I actually have, well, I'm going to go grab one. I'm going to just actually go get one real quick. If you guys give me just a minute, I'm going to click Add, and I'm going to click Add a new document. And I'm going to go out to my desktop, and I'm going to find a purchase and sale agreement that was scanned and sent over to me. So I'm just going to use this one right here, and I'm going to open and drag it over. So what it does is it just pulls it over from your desktop. You can do that with any document you want. So here it brought it over. So I'm going to just give you a peek at what this looks like. So this particular one here is kind of a mess. It came over in not the best shape. The person who sent it over with an upside down page in it. So I'm going to actually go here and I'm going to rotate that page. So all I have to do is just click on that page. Well, I'm going to go in. I'm going to have to go into the actual slicer tool. So let me get in there real quick. I'm going to go into this slicer tool here. So you can do this with any PDF that you get. You can maneuver things. So right here, I'm highlighting it in blue, and I'm clicking this rotate option right up here in the corner. And I'm just going to rotate that document. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it and move it over and make it the first, because it was in the wrong order. So if this were what I was going to send off to someone, I could. I'm going to actually take some of these things out. I'm going to take this out of here. I don't want it in here. So I'm just highlighting blue. Hang on, I gotta make sure this one's not highlighted. Be careful that you unhighlight your options before you go and delete something. So this is what's highlighted. I'm gonna click the delete, remove pages right here, and I'm gonna remove it. You can actually take a document, let's say it's these 3 pages right here, and you can separate them out as a separate document. So I could actually go hit this plus sign right here, and I could actually make that 3 pages a totally separate document and save it. So that's something you can do. If I click save now, right here, it's gonna ask me, do I wanna save it, replace it? No, I'm just gonna save it as, and I want just the selected pages, and I'm gonna name it, I don't know, let's just see, it's a preliminary title report or something, and click save. And it will actually save that down into my documents, totally separate. So it's cool when you get a document that's scanned all together, you can separate out any of this stuff you want. This is a legal description also, so I could actually unselect these and just take that one and do the same thing. Go to save, and just save that one document as a legal description and pull it out from inside this document. So that's pretty cool. So actually this is a purchase and sale agreement. I'm gonna save it, and I'm gonna save it as, let's just call it a counter offer. Okay, just so I can show you guys some of the markup options and what to do in Authentisign. So I'm saving this separately, got it all ready. Yes, I'm gonna save my changes. And now I've got it down here as a counter offer all by itself. So I'm going to click this, select this option right here, and it's in the basket, and I'm going to send it off to Authentisign. I know there might be a lot of questions on that because I flew through it pretty quickly. So there are options in our support area where you can find all kinds of information on how to do these things. So I'm going to show you that here when we're all done so you guys can find out where it's at. I'm just going to use Kira. So now see how Kevin's email was not saved that's last time. So I'm going to actually, I can use Kevin. Let's just use one person to make it easier. And click add. And again, I got to add his email back in there because I never saved it. Let's make sure I get it right this time. Okay, got it. So we've got our document in here. I'll just click on here and show you. It's just that one document, counter offer, but notice no signature spots. We've got to add them all. So we're going to go in here to the design phase. So you can work with any document, whether it has signature blocks or not, in the DocuSign. Any questions while I'm working through this?
We had several questions about using the slicer tool to merge, and just let everyone know that within Transaction Desk, there is a merge function that you would use instead of using the slicer tool.
Exactly, yes, you can. And a matter of fact, all I got is my legal description in here. So I missed something here. Let me go back. I might have brought the wrong document through. So if you do look at documents, it looks like it's just one page. So I'm going to go back to add my documents here and just see if I can find it in my folder. I think I saved that. Oh my gosh, we have so much in here. No, well, let's just go show them real quick. We got a couple extra minutes, so let's do that. I'm going to close this out. I'm going to go back to my actual transaction here real quick. And I'll show you how to merge those documents real quick. So let's just go back in here. And here's our documents, right? So when I worked with that purchase and sale, I didn't do it right. So yeah, so if you have a bunch of different documents that you want to merge, you can just click and drag, just pick which ones you want and put them in the basket, right? Put them in the basket. And then you're going to go up here to this merge function and click merge. And then you can put them in whatever order you want. If you wanted this one to be, whoops, if you want this one to be first, move it up to the top. Put them in order how you want them. And then name it. I just hit enter and it's going to come through with that one. Oh my gosh, if I could do it right here, it would be all right. Hang on, I hit a button. So put them in the order the way you want, name them. I'll just put that so we know which one it is. And it's going to put it back in this PSA folder. It should anyway. It might have put it into my actual documents. Let's look down here on the bottom. So I was in the actual, there it is, test document merged. So that's how it works. So I'm just going to pick this one for us to go send to DocuSign, you guys. It's got a bunch of information on it, but I just want to show you how you can mark things up into the inside the Authentisign. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to select all those. I'm just going to select this one.
Hey, Barb.
Yep.
We're getting several questions on the multiple initials, where you can do multiple initials at once. So when you get in there, will you please demonstrate that placement again of that drag and drop option?
Sure.
All right, thank you.
So I'm going to go ahead again. I'm just going to use Kevin. I'm going to add him. And again, we forgot to put the email in his contact card. So once again, we're going to go in and change the email. So you'll be reminded if you forget. So okay, let's save him. Okay, so we've got our document here. Just doubly checking. Yes, we're going to go to the design phase. So I don't even know what documents these are, but I just want to show you guys how it works, how the markup option will work. So again, if this is not in the order you want, you can jump back and put it in the right order before you start. But let's just say that you've got some buyer's initials here, but maybe you're trying to put the seller's initials in and the seller's signature on something. Maybe you need to put a signature and an initial, but see how the initials, every single one of these needs to be initialed. So I'm going to show you that again. So it's over here under drag and drop. You have initial pages right here. Instead of you initial here, if you use initial here, you have to do one at a time. If you do initial pages, you can do all of them. So let me just peek real quick again. Which pages? Not page one. Well, let's do all pages. I'll just do all pages. So initial pages. And this comes up and it asks you, do you want it at the top or at the bottom? I'm going to put it at the bottom. And I'm going to align them to the right because I noticed that all the signature boxes on this particular one are on the right side. So I'm going to click right. And I'm going to click this. If there was more than one person, it would come up. I've only selected Kevin this time. So it's going to put it on the entire document. Now, do you want it all the pages, all 7 pages, or just on 3 or 4 of the pages? You can choose. If I had way more forms in here, it would bring you up a whole list and ask you, which ones do you want it on? Do you want it on all of them? So you choose. And then do you want it medium or small? I'll pick small this time. I'm going to pick small signature. So it's going to be on the bottom of the document on the right side. It's going to have Kevin's initials on all 7 pages. So I'm going to hit continue. And what it did was it added Kevin on every single page. So what I need to do with each of these now is just right click and date stamp. So you do have to move it, put it up here, move it around a little bit, but it's a lot quicker than clicking and dragging to every single page, right? This one probably needed a signature. Let's just say this one, I'm going to delete this one. I wanted a signature instead of initial. So I'm going to go to drag and drop up here. I'm going to go to sign here. And I'm just going to put him on here as a signature with a date stamp. Same thing, you can move those around. That's just an example, right? So here's the other initial. Whoa, made the initial too big. Dates, oops, not timestamp. Date stamp. Okay. So that's what you can do there. Now I want to show you a few other things while we're in here. You have some markup options right here. If I click on markup, it gives me different options. It gives me a text box. It gives me some other options. So what is the text box? Well, let's just say for some reason you're in this form and you're releasing, oh my gosh, I click the text box and I realize this zip code is wrong. What I can do is I can open this up and I can type in the right zip code. So that's the zip code I want. And I can actually adjust the box a little bit, and I can put it right over top of the other one. Now what I also can do is under this little gear, I can change the background to white instead of transparent. So what it does is it covers it up. I can also change the font size. I want the font to be a 12, which is smaller, and I want it to be bold. So you can move that around then when you're done. If I can get it, there we go. Takes a little maneuvering. I will get it, I promise you. There we go. And you can move it around. I need to shrink this up because it's covering up part of my. So see how you can move it around? You can put, white background on it if you want. So that's something you can do. Another thing you can do is you can use this markup tool here, which is a drawing a line. So let's say you had something that had a price on it that you needed to change or something like that, like on your counter offer. If you actually use this, you can mark through that. Just mark right through it. And you could use the text box and say, see counter offer form 36 or whatever it is. So you can do that. Other things you can do, you can highlight something. So if I did want them to see something, I could take this highlighter pen and I can actually do this and just say, hey, can you initial this spot and put their initial over here? So I could do that. You can use this box, which would just give you a different color if you want purple, or if you can hit the little icon here, you can change it to, change it to yellow. You can change it to any color you possibly would want, gray. So you can do that. There's also an ellipsis, which kind of does the same thing, except it draws a circle around something. So there's different markup options in here. Most likely you're going to use the text box and the markup tool. And we actually, you guys have a recorded webinar that goes through this in much more detail on sending a counter offer back. So I'm going to show you here in a minute where that's at. So that gives you a little option on some markup tools. Are there any other questions in here while we're in here, Rochelle?
Hang on, just someone asked, why do we have shared transactions?
Oh, that's different. Yes, we have shared transactions because you can share transactions with someone. If maybe there's another broker that you're working on a transaction with that's on your team. They have to be on your team to share it. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I'm going to go back, save and continue. I'm not going to send it on or anything.
And while you're looking at that, someone said, can you separate out only, can you basically separate out individually signed docs from within Transaction Desk, or can you do it within Authentisign? You have to do it within Transaction Desk. Authentisign does not have the capability to pull out individual signed docs.
Right. So you have to go use that markup tool. If it's all one big PDF, you got to use that markup tool. Can't do it in Authentisign. No, you can't. So sharing. This is shared. These two are shared from Rochelle. So when I am in a transaction, I'm just going to go into this particular one here. And I can share this if I have people set up in my system to share with. So right up here, there's an ellipsis tool, and I'm going to suggest that you guys go in here and look at all these menus and all the different things you can do with them. It's not going to hurt a thing. Go and look and see. So inside the actual transaction folder, right up here, I can actually go and I can share this with someone, this particular transaction. I can also share all my transactions with someone. Every time I create one, I can share it with someone. So we actually have a Teams webinar where we go in and we explain this whole thing to you. So I'll show you where that's at as well. So if you want to watch that recorded webinar, you can, because we don't have time to go into that whole setup option today. But it's pretty cool. So if I wanted to just share this with one person, let's say I was going on vacation and I wanted to actually share this with someone, I could share it with Rochelle and she could take care of a couple things for me inside my transactions. She could access my forms, my documents, everything in this folder on this side. She could go see my signings for this particular transaction. So it's a pretty nifty tool that the system offers. Anything else?
Hang on just a second.
Okay.
Let's see, someone said that sometimes the signature blocks appear automatically and sometimes they don't. Why is that? And it's depends on the form being used.
Right. So if you have a form, which is there's a difference between forms and documents. Forms are fillable forms that you've pulled in from Instanet forms. Right here, when we start a transaction, we pull our forms in, right? These are all fillable forms. So I can literally go into that form, start filling it out, get them all filled out, and then send them off to be signed, right? But you work with other documents as well when it comes to a listing or a purchase and sale. So those would be under documents. So you have forms, only fillable forms sit here, and then you've got your documents folder. So if I click on my documents folder, these are actual documents that I pulled in. These are all the supplements that came in from Matrix. So these are not fillable. They're PDFs. So you have to add the signatures to those, just like you would for a legal description. Any initials would have to be added because Authentisign doesn't recognize this as anything fillable. So that's why we add that option for you guys to drag and drop. All right, we've covered everything. So we're almost done with the webinar, but we allow about 10 minutes for Q&A. So those of you that would like to stay with us, please do. And we're gonna stay on for just a little while and answer any questions you might have that come through.
Okay. Barb, we're getting several questions about how come sometimes I need to keep entering their email address in Authentisign, even if I've saved their email address before. We're seeing this come open quite a bit.
Yes,
I would suggest going to your contact section in Transaction Desk. So Barb, if you'll show them where that's at.
Yep, right inside that transaction.
Or even
So
over on the far left menu too, under the contact card.
Yeah, contacts are here. For this particular transaction, it was Kevin's that was missing. So I actually have to come in here to his contact card and add it. It doesn't add it from Authentisign. You have to do it. So see how the email is missing? So I have to come in here and add it and click save. Now when I go back, it'll be there. So that's why it would not save it over to here. We had to keep coming back to add it. You guys will figure that out once you keep going into the Authentisign and go, oh gosh, there I am again, having to add his email again. So it's very important that when you're setting up your contacts, when you first start a transaction, make sure they're fully filled out. And notice how we have them as sellers. Well, Authentisign knows if you put them as a seller, it knows where to put their signature on the signature blocks. So when you're in here filling this, creating a contact, it's right here, the type. If you put buyer here, it'll put them in the buyer spot where their signatures go. So it knows that with fillable forms. Any other questions?
Where is if we can review the support tab again for Transaction Desk, because we're having some questions on the slicing tool and merge feature about where we could find that information.
Yes, I forgot all about that. Thanks for reminding me. Okay, so in the Northwest MLS homepage, under support, you need to come here and check this out. There is so much information here to help you all. So under here we have These are the software packages that we train all of you on, and there's a lot of information to know and understand. So notice how we've got transaction desk, matrix and realist, showing time, mobile resources, info sparks. So all of these tabs here, if you highlight one, like I've got transaction desk highlighted, below each one of these, you're gonna have user guides, tutorials and webinars, and some FAQs and some other information. So right here we have user guide tab highlighted. Look at the different user guides. So just under getting started, we've got some. Under client resources, we have some. Under transactions themselves, we have options. So if I go under transactions right here, a bunch more pop up. So this is where the slice and markup tools is at. So let me click on it and just show you how it works. So each of these is just a simple PDF, step-by-step, color-coded, exactly where to go and how to slice up a document. So it takes you through that whole process on how to do that. So there's probably 6 or 7 pages here on that one. You guys asked me how to share a document or a transaction. There's an option there. All kinds of information. How to create a sales transaction from inside. And then Authentisign, we showed you some options here in Authentisign. I'll click on that one. So I'm under user guides, Authentisign. There's more that come up. How to signing electronically, creating an actual signing, an overview. Also under tutorials and webinars right here, we have some recorded webinars. Whoops, I'm sorry, I jumped out of the wrong spot here. We have some transaction desks recorded. So here's that one on how to handle a counteroffer. So you guys can watch that. It's 60 minutes, but you can drag ahead and jump, stop it and go practice and come back. And so it's kind of nice to have a recorded one to look at. And here's a getting started with transaction desk one that goes through all the basics. It's pretty good as well. And we will record others, and we will have more webinars coming up in the future. So there's a lot of information under here that is there for you. So remember, you go to the option here, user guides, and then you've got to go down and click on one of these to open up more additional user guides. Yeah, any more questions come through?
Let's see. Okay. Someone said, can you have a seller fill out the seller disclosure through Authentisign? No, you cannot. Authentisign is only for signing the documents, and your sellers cannot fill out the Form 17 and sign it at the same time. That's going to be a 2-step process.
Right. Yeah. And we cover that in this webinar here. Let's go back. Here I'm under Transaction Desk, User Guides, Tutorials, and Webinars. It's under this particular one, Advanced Features. We go through that. And here's one on actually filling out Form 17 right there. So I forgot we had that one as well. So you can go in here and watch and see how to send it to them. And you send it to them as a link, and they definitely can fill it out. This is a great one to watch, you all. I see so many times when I'm looking at the supplements and matrix, I can see that someone had this filled out by hand, then they had to scan it in and put it in and have them sign it. It's just so much easier if you use that link right from Transaction Desk, and they get an email and they just open the link and fill it out. So it's pretty nifty how it works. Anything else?
Okay. Someone said, if you have time, can you show how you show again how you merged, please?
Sure. Yeah, I can show you. So inside your transaction, I'm going to open up the transaction folders back over here again on the left-hand side. And I will go in, we'll go into the Simmons one here. And it was merging, I'm sorry, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so we have some documents down here. I know in this one I have some signed documents that are sitting in here. And I actually moved those signed documents up here into a folder. So I actually created a separate little folder, which you can do right here. And I placed them up in here so they wouldn't be mixed in with my other ones. So here's my actual signed documents right here. They're all sitting in here. And so I'm going to select the ones that I want to merge. And by doing that, I'm just clicking on these little circles here on the right-hand side. I'm not going to put the certificate in. Every time someone signs something, it sends you a certificate in case you need it. So I'm just putting those 5 into my basket right here. They're all sitting here. And now I'm going to go, you can either move them somewhere, you can do a lot of different things, but I'm going to go to merge. So I'm going to merge these documents. And here, before I merge them, I might want to put them in a different order. So I might want to have this last, the legal description last. So to do that, I hover over it and just pull it down here. So you can move them around and put them in the order that you want them. Then you name it. I'm just going to put test merge docs so we know which ones they are. That's what it's named. And then I'm going to click merge. And where it's going to throw it is it's going to put it back, I believe, into my documents folder, and then I can move it from there. So I'm going to click merge docs. And I'm going to click close. And it's not in this folder. I'm going to go back to that home folder. So now I'm back at this documents right here. I'm in that document folder, and it's right here, test merge doc PDF. So now they're all merged. So if I bring them up, we've got 12 pages. And now it's now a PDF. I had some markup stuff on it, but it's all in one PDF for you to send off. So close. If you want to email, I'm going to empty out this basket. Remember, if you want to email it to someone, you just click here, go to your basket, and email.
And while you're doing that, someone had asked, is there a way to have 3 or 4 buyers' names on an agreement other than adding a text box? I know that there is an NWMLS form for that. I don't recall the number of it, but there is a form available where you can add multiple buyers to an agreement.
Wow, I didn't know that. So is it like a cover sheet then, or how does that work?
No,
Do you
it's
know?
just, it's an addendum. I believe it's an addendum to like a purchase and sale agreement or a listing agreement. But there is 22Z additional signers. Thank you. Thank you.
Look, I'm gonna
22Z.
22 additional signer addendum. Awesome. I'm gonna open it up just so we can see what it looks like. So now let me show you guys this real quick. What I did was, this is something that a lot of people do when they first start in Authentisign, which is a little confusing, okay? So when you open up Authentisign, a lot of people just come here and, hey, I'm gonna just go find a form and I'm gonna fill it out. I'm gonna suggest you don't do that. Create a transaction folder first. Then pull your forms into that transaction folder like we showed you today. You got your forms, your documents, everything. If you come to Instrument Forms and you go and you say, okay, I'm gonna open up this form and I'm gonna use it, you gotta go, wait a minute. Do you wanna create a new form and start a new transaction? Do you wanna create a standalone form? Or do you wanna create a new form and add it to an existing transaction? If you do this, it's going to start a whole new transaction. I'm going to show you. I've helped people online, and I went and looked, and they show over here in this transaction desk folder over here, they show the person's name 5 times with 5 different transaction folders with 5 different forms in them. So you got to be careful not to do that. Create the transaction folder first, then pull them into that. So I'm going to create a standalone form because I want to see what it looks like here. Interesting. I'm glad that this is available. I had no idea. So because Michelle, I'm not a broker, I wouldn't know that, right? So that is so great. So it's for a purchase and sale. Fabulous. Yeah.
And so this is going to be one of those that you will have to add those signature boxes to, because the form is not going to know if you're preparing it for a buyer or for a seller.
Right, and you'd actually literally have to have a contact card for every single one of them, and I don't think that would work anyway. So yeah, but at least it's available. I love that they have that available. Cool. Great.
And someone was asking, what do the blue and red X boxes do in Authentisign? Oh, and they left. Darn.
Yeah. Anything else?
Let's see. I think most of these. I think most of these we have already covered. Let's see. Oh, someone said they would like to know what the blue and red boxes do. Okay, absolutely, we can cover it. So go
Sure,
into.
yeah.
Absolutely, we'll show you.
Sure. So I'm going to go back into my
Okay.
transaction file folder real quick. Go ahead.
Okay, and someone said, in what case scenario would you use the additional assign or addendum? That would be if you have more than 2 buyers or sellers for a property, is my understanding. We're not brokers, so if you need more clarification around that, please ask your designated broker. But that is our basic understanding of using that 22Z.
Right. So again, remember the forms are fillable. Documents are not fillable. So fillable forms are those forms that you pulled in and you started filling them all out and all the stuff is in there now and you're going to send it off for signature. Documents are things like the legal description and things like that that you pulled in. So what I'm going to do from this Simmons transaction is I'm just going to go right here into signings, click on signings. I've already got some in here that they signed, but I'm going to create a brand new one just so I can show you guys. I'm going to add a signing right from here, and I'm just going to put it test.
Oh, and someone said sometimes you add a buyer later during the transaction. Thank you, Jerry K.
So I'm just going to name it that so I know what it is. I'm going to click save. So now what I'm doing is I'm starting a transaction. It's called a test signing, and I actually don't have any documents in here at all. So I'm going to put my participants just so you guys can see, Charlie and Cindy. Click add. And right here under documents, when you pull them in, you have your Instinet forms that you pull in. Those are the fillable forms that you filled out already. If I add those, I'm just going to add 2. They will come through with signature blocks. The other ones are all those supplements that pulled over from Matrix. So here I've got a utilities, I got a legal description, seller disclosure. So these are all things that pulled over from Matrix, and they are PDFs. They're not Instinet fillable forms. Authentisign does not know where signature blocks. There's no signature blocks for any of these. So I'm going to click add, and I'll show you what that means. So these ones with the red and the yellow are the fillable forms that you filled out and are not signed yet. So Authentisign knows knows where to put the buyers and the sellers because we set their contacts up properly. And these are the supplements or any PDFs that you have added. They have no signature blocks. So that's the ones you have to drag and drop initials and signatures to, probably initials on these, and go on into the design stage. So that's what that means.
Okay.
There's a difference between, it says documents here, but it's forms and docs.
So when you go to design, Barb, so go to design.
Going in there, yep.
And so a couple of questions. We've had several people say, hey, can we set the default font in Authentisign? So while we're looking at these check boxes on the drag and drop, to those.
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
The markup tools too, like this one right here, this text box, maybe the font, every time it comes up, it's too big. You don't like it. You know, you start typing in here, right? You're like, why is that so big? I wish it was smaller, and I wish I did not have to change this all the time. I always have to change the 16 to a 10, right? You can go do that. You can change those options, and that's in your back office option area. Is that the right description of what the question was, Rochelle?
Yeah,
I can
that's
show them
yeah.
that. Okay, so I'm going to hit back.
Okay.
And I'm
Oh,
just
wait,
gonna-
wait. But go ahead and go to drag and drop and show those the blue and red check boxes. You use those for if someone needs to check something.
Yeah, so this drag and drop checkbox, this one's optional. I don't know if you'd ever use that. It's like you can check this or you don't need to check it. Doubt if you're going to use that one. You're going to probably use the one you've got to check this box. So let's just say this particular box right here, they have got to check it. So Cindy has to, and we don't have to put both of them if we don't want to, but let's just say that they needed to sign it. So now when I do that, he's going to be forced to check that and then sign. You can do the same thing with this radio button. I don't know if you'd ever use it, but let's just say this right here. I'm going to move it. Sorry, let me trash can that. Try again. Make it easy. Oh, my mouse got stuck. Hang on. Okay, so let's just say I want them to choose one or the other. This one or this one. So when they go through, they're going to have to actually literally pick one of these dots on the screen before they can finish their signing. Not both, but it'll say, do you want this one or do you want that one? So it's something, you know, I don't know if you guys ever use it, but it's there. But that's what the checkbox is for.
Okay. Oh, Robert said optional might be used for an inspection response. Thank you for that.
Oh, yeah, okay. So yeah, you would use the optional because the blue one is see when you hover over it, it says optional checkbox and this one says actual checkbox. So yeah, just make sure you pick the right one there. Great.
Okay. Oh, and then going back to setting default. Sorry.
Okay, so we're done here. I'm just going to go back and I'm going to cancel this. I'm not going to save it. Oops, I'm going to continue without saving. Yeah, so in this back office here on the left-hand side, you need to come in here and really take a look. Like I said, look around in these menus because right here under setup, there's a lot of options for you that you can use to get it all set up the way you want, how you want menus to actually come up. So there's preferences here, there's program settings. So I'm gonna go under program settings and where it's at is under, is this the right spot, Rochelle? I'm trying to remember where, oh, here it is, markup settings right at the bottom. So there's two spots, but under markup settings right here, this is where it's saying font size 9. Mine's coming up as 16 and I don't get it because I have it set at 9. Interesting. And you can pick a font you want to instead of, you know, it could be Times New Roman instead and click update. So when you're using markup, it should come up properly. Maybe it's Authentisign I need to change it in. Nope, not there. And then transactions. No, another thing you should do is take this create cover sheet off. If you're always starting a transaction, it's always throwing this cover sheet in there that you want to get rid of. You're rarely going to use it. You can take it off, and you can always add it back on if you need it. Did I miss anything in there, Rochelle?
No, that was it.
Okay.
And
Yep. So there's a lot of different settings. Browse through here, set them up any way you want them.
Yep, I think that was it.
All right. Well, thanks so much, everyone. We appreciate you being here with us and look for more webinars in the future.